Why, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the show, Late Night on Chain, with your host, Bill Buildable, back at it, where we do this show Monday through Thursday, typically noon PST, but today we decided to shake it up and do it a half hour early. So today's 11:30 a.m. PST, but typically noon. Anyways, this is a show where we give builders distribution. We tell the stories of what is happening in this crazy, crazy land, because there is some amazing builders. There are some amazing teams. There's some amazing, figures that have stories, and we need to share it. And you guess what? You come to the show, we talk. So, anyways, happy to have all of you. Looking forward to today's show. We have a cool blend, right? Sometimes we speak to big figures like Jesse Pollock. Sometimes we speak to the DGen trenches. Sometimes we bring on VC-backed companies. We do it all. We do it all because there's so much going on. So we have Rin from Eco on, and I'm excited to talk stablecoins, all about stablecoins. That's actually one of the big sectors that everyone's talking about. Previously, we had we had Send on. They're basically doing stable coins. That's a huge meta, stablecoin. So we're going to talk about why it's important, why now, all those things. With him, we also have not BV7X. We have Buildefi, a new launchpad on Robinhood, and also coming to base, also Ethereum. They're doing a spin where it's you can launch paired with basically any token. So that's kind of cool because, with the whole liquidity bonding thing, if you're pairing it to another token, especially at an early stage, the other token potentially can also rise up with it. So you're establishing connection with the other communities. It's great. And then we have the legend, Jake. Big fan of Jake. I've known him for a while. He's huge in the base ecosystem. He's done a lot of great things. He's launched Hoodie on Solana. Or no, not Solana, Robinhood. Hoodie on Robinhood. So we're going to talk to him because he has an interesting perspective because he comes from Baseland as well. He comes from Baseland. He knows everything that's going on. So he'll have a good perspective as to what's going to happen. So at least 2,000 people plus tuning in. We're going to make sure we have that. We got plenty of time. Sit back, relax, have some popcorn. Before we bring up Ren from Eco, just want to give a shout out to our sponsors, because guess what, guys? That is the only way your boy gets paid. He doesn't charge guests. So we got to make sure our sponsors feel loved. So we have to first ensure this episode is brought to you by BV7X. BV7X, millions of AI agents compete around the clock. They gather the info, they run the numbers, they make the call. BV7X turns their consensus into verified alpha. Every signal on chain lives on base. The world's sharpest models are already competing in the arena. Put agentic intelligence behind your next move. Get started at bv7x.ai. Want to give us, we have some supporting sponsors. Get that out of the way as well. Got to give a shout out to Banker. Most people know who they are. They provide the agentic tooling for agents to operate autonomously on chain. Bankers, where builders launch agentic businesses, raise from the market, and reach their audience. Backs the next generation of founders or become one. And last but not least, of course, Buildefi. They're coming on. They're coming to base very soon. Fair min phase allows everyone to get in the launch price. No bonding curve. Locked LP created out Uniswap at launch. Builders earn ETH from trading fees, not token allocations. And last but not least, Albemarle City, the first tokenized city on the Solana blockchain. The lands are beautiful and the resources are abundant. Check out Albemarle today. All right, enough with that. It's time we talk all about stablecoins. Rin, how you doing, my friend? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Bill. Vibes are good. I'm doing great. Always get amped when I listen to your lead in. And so let's talk stables. Where do you want to point the stablecoin discussion today?
Bro, we can talk about this all day, because let's start with the basics, because stablecoins on the top of everyone's minds. When we talk venture, we bring in a bunch of venture capitalists as well. Coinbase Ventures last year, I remember, biggest thing that they're focused on, stablecoins, and it's only getting stronger and stronger. People are building it. Let's just start with why now? Why are stablecoins on the top of everyone's mind?
There's a few reasons for that. I think, we've been building for stables for a long time, honestly, too soon. And the interesting thing is that it took way longer for the use case to mature than I expected. Now it's happening faster than I expected. So it's like, it took a while. Now the ramp is really quick. I think there's a few reasons why everyone's talking about stablecoins. One is just like we have been starved. Every kind of like notion of product market fit for crypto over the cycles has been a flash in the pan. And now, something has stuck. That's not to say some of the earlier ideas won't come back around and prove to be true in the long run. Maybe they were just too soon. But stablecoins is just like stablecoins is the clear, simple use case for blockchain technology that everyone can kind of understand, and it's bringing institutional flow in besides just retail flow, highly correlated with a bunch of other blockchain use cases, and now not just inevitable, but just happening. And so I think one reason why everyone's talking about stablecoins, we've been starved for that kind of like sticky product market fit for this technology for a decade, and now this particular product has proven it out. Second reason I think is the adoption rate's just ridiculous, right? Everyone flocks to growth, and the adoption rate, like I referred to earlier, is just beyond my imagination, and we're just scratching the surface of the addressable market. Only a few innings into the game, so to speak. And so I think that the adoption rate of stablecoins, even among the believers, has been surprising. And that's another thing that everyone's getting very, very excited about. I would guess I'll add a third reason. It's kind of related to the product market fit reason, but that's just where the value is. That's where the flow is. And you want to capture revenue and you want to capture value proportional to the flow. That's the flow that you want to tap into. It's sort of monotonically increasing market size. And so those are the major reasons. I think stablecoins have finally found their moment.
So walk me through this because I want to get into eco and all that as
Yep.
well. But like, let's start with because the premise of stablecoins has been around for a while. Obviously, those in the crypto industry are
Yep.
very familiar. Obviously, with Tether, I believe Tether was first, predominantly maybe 2020, 2018. I don't remember when. And then we have USDC.
Yep.
So it's been around for a while. Now, when we're talking about stablecoins in general, are we just talking about those two? Are we talking about countries bringing their own stable coins into the mix as well? Like, say, the Argent, maybe the peso, or I don't know, the lira, any of those things? Like, walk me through that. How big, what are we talking about when we're talking about stable coins and future growth? Is it more than just USDC and Tether?
Yeah. Um, they are the original OG proof points. I think Tether actually goes back 2015-16. USDC earliest version 2018. Um, Clear open market liquidity network effects around those two usual suspects. They are responsible for lighting the match. But at this point in time, the market is filled just on the digital US dollar side with dozens of legitimate stablecoins, duking it out in a competitive market for market share, depending on how they would kind of want to focus their positioning. And the non-USD stablecoin side of the market is just starting to like show some signals and grow up, but still very, very early. So I think when you're talking about the full set, though, you're talking about multiple versions of digital dollars and digital reserve currencies that are non-dollarized and inherently global money flow in nature. That's why I say it's very, very early. So today you're talking about a market where the usual suspects are really just digital dollars, but they're still flowing more volume than the major card networks combined, growing rapidly, and leading new entrants into the market as well. And so this kind of relates to what we do. There's a bunch of different types of digital dollars. It's kind of a fast-moving, highly sensitive Forex type market. $1 in one place in that market's not exactly $1 in a different place in that market. So moving between them is not as simple as it should be. That's where eco sits. But when we're talking about stablecoins, you're talking about kind of that full landscape. And there's still a lot of dust to settle there beyond just USDC and USDT.
Interesting. Okay, so that does make a lot of sense. So now let's turn the attention to eco and how you
Yep.
guys operate and what makes you guys different. And obviously, let's do a screen share. Guys, this episode will also be put onto Spotify as a standalone episode. So if you are listening to this when it's out there, please head over to YouTube so you can kind of see the screen shares and all that jazz. All right, so let's look at what you guys have. The stablecoin network that makes money programmable across every major blockchain backed by some titans, A16, Founders Fund, Pantera. At its simplest core, pretend Aunt Sally down the street is tuning in. She has no idea what the terminology means. How do you simplify? What does eco do?
Okay. So think about traveling before you could tap to pay anywhere around the world. All right. If you're old enough to remember this state of the world, you're traveling to a different country 25, 30 years ago. Here's what I need to do. I need to think ahead. I need to say, I'm going to Germany, for example. I have to find a bank in the US, presumably on this side, or an expensive ATM or money counter on the other side. Take my dollars, give them my dollars, get some euros or Deutsche Marks if we're 40 years ago, and use that hard currency to pay. And then when I come back to the US, I got to find another money counter or another supporting bank to take my leftover change and turn it back into dollars. There's kind of high fees, a lot of friction for me on both ends to get out of my dollars and into my dollars. The story for moving across blockchains and across digital asset markets is kind of similar to that, kind of analogous to that. So different stablecoins and different digital dollars might live on different blockchains. In this analogy, the different blockchains are kind of like different countries. And to get from one market to another market seamlessly, you need someone to kind of be the translation or the routing layer in between. And that's ultimately the role that Visa has fulfilled by making my card work tap to pay around the world. So when I travel today, I don't have to go get a different hard currency all the time. I can just carry my card with the same user experience in a different country as I basically have in the United States, and I can spend my dollars. And that unifying infrastructure doesn't yet exist across the digital asset markets. And so that's what we build for stablecoins, so that you can seamlessly use your digital dollar here, over there. And it's hard technology. It's a highly dynamic market. There are different reasons why you might want to move that dollar. We focus on certain reasons, and that's what we do very, very well.
When did you realize that this had to be solved? At what point? And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is obviously talking about the projects in the space and the innovation, but also getting to know the people behind it, because I think it's very
Yeah.
powerful to know. Talk to me about you. When did you realize, okay, there's this need? Because you're right. I mean, I remember, forget about my father's age. I was literally like fly in, hard currency, go into a kiosk at the airport, literally get bamboozled by the fees and all that stuff. But at what point did you realize there's this growing industry, stable coins, but this bridge, this A to B, different needs to be solved, and it needs to be you? When did you realize, like, hey, I got to go all in?
There's kind of two answers to that. I went all in on the stablecoin use case in 2017, 2018. Frankly, too soon. But saw that it's fundamentally better digital dollar, digital money. The technology is inevitable. And but on this particular solution, the market structure to kind of call for this solution started to really develop over the last 2, 3 years. And so we'd built some good technology. We're pretty good at the stablecoin use case full stack. And we're looking at the way the market was starting to kind of really grow. And it was clear that there's kind of a wholesale market for stablecoins developing among major assets, among major chains, among major on-chain markets and liquidity sources, and those needed to be connected. And they needed to be connected with a high degree of sophistication. And it's not really a retail bridge use case like you might think of. That is kind of where the market was 2 years ago. But for us, a more institutional use case has evolved, for actors moving across those liquidity markets and needing to do it with a really high degree of control. And so that's what we built for. I think there are several companies that are kind of in the problem statement of stablecoin fragmentation, and that's become sort of like a clear problem statement over the last couple of years. And that always happens, right? Like a market blows up, gets popular, new technology, bunch of new entrants, and it's scattered for a while. There's a lot of dust to settle. Some of those new entrants will succeed, some will fail, and then you have to sort of like connect the clear kind of demand vectors among those that have staying power. And that just became pretty apparent, that was the pattern we were following over the last couple of years, and that's what we built into.
Where do you see, because obviously you're on the ground, stablecoin better than anyone. Do you envision, here's a question that's very interesting to me. Are the regulatory agencies fighting this? I feel that there could be this issue where obviously governments and banks, they want control. Stablecoins kind of takes that power away from them. Do you see a battle brewing between the corporate juggernauts, the Visa, the Chase banks of the world, the Jamie Dimons, government institutions, and where things are going. Do you think it's going to be an easy transition, or it's going to be a fight?
I mean, yeah, that battle has kind of been brewing. I think stablecoins could have taken off in 2020,
Okay.
and the regulatory wherewithal and the regulatory acceptance was just not there. And so it took 2 or 3 extra years that we had to build. We built through that ourselves with a lot kind of very painful experience during those years because the technology was really starting to kind of come around, and I think the institutional channels were just not open yet to accept it because regulatory clarity wasn't there. And that sort of battle is still kind of being waged to some extent. It's not as hostile as it was, but there's still a lot of posturing. This is a valuable new market. It is both a competitive threat and a massive kind of new market opportunity for the incumbents. So, who is going to get to control access or be in the best position to build network effects and capture value? The interesting thing about new technology and new markets is not always clear where the value is going to accrue or who's going to have the pricing power and who's going to have the margin to protect. And we're kind of in that phase in stablecoin product development right now. So clearly the US is kind of like caught up to this debate after putting it aside for a few years. Now we've taken a leadership position in this debate, but it's still a very healthy debate. I mean, I think your kind of tuned in listeners will know there's two major pieces of crypto legislation that have sort of come up in the last 2 years. One was the Genius Act to kind of make it possible to issue stablecoins in the United States in a compliant manner. That really unlocked the use case. The other one that's been floating around now forever, last year, it's called the Clarity Act. It's in the news. It's out of the news. It's in the news. It's out of the news every few weeks. That will sort of unlock new market opportunities that are highly correlated with stablecoin demand and probably accelerate it further. And that's where the debate is centered right now. Within new market structures, whether stablecoin based or just stablecoin correlated, who's the issuer? Who's the custody provider? Who's regulating them? How do they capture value? Right? Who's in the most defensible position there? How do the banks interface? Still a lot to figure out there, and that's not going to be solved soon. But the
Yeah.
point I will make is that the technology, we're not going back on that. Banks are adopting the technology. Card networks have adopted the technology. Like, it is the underpinning for how dollars are increasingly going to move. So the incumbents are not necessarily waiting and sitting on their hands. They're building into it and just trusting that a framework is going to emerge that they can adhere to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a long cry from I got into the crypto cycle or crypto industry in 2017. It's a
Mm,
far cry from when Warren Buffett would call Bitcoin. I think he called it rat poison or something, something like that. And obviously, Jamie
yeah,
Dimon was like, "I'll fire anyone who touches it." And obviously, things change. You have to you
yeah.
have to go with where the future's heading. And so, I think regulatory clarity is a framework is absolutely needed. Now we have 10 more minutes left before I know I'm cognizant of your time. Shout out to the 676 people tuning in live late night on chain. We're in from Eco again, guys. 2K by the end of the show, 2,000 viewers. We got some time. I got records to keep, bro. Can't break it. How does agentic agents, AI payments come into play? Because obviously here on the show, we talk AI apps, tech on chain, and there's inevitable AI agents are clearly here to stay. In some cases, Coinbase is saying that agentic agents will account for more transactions than humans.
Yeah.
What's the role with the stable coins with agent payments? Is there things you can elaborate on? What do you see as we move towards this agentic economy with stable coins?
Yeah, there's been an interesting debate over the last in the sort of public spheres, the Twitter forums over the last several months of, will agents use cards? Do they automatically need stablecoins? Kind of like a false dichotomy to me. These debates always get a little bit too polarized. I mean, some use cases they just give an agent a card with some spending controls. The agent can probably swipe the card and take off, do what they need to do. Many other use cases are ill suited for a card swipe for various reasons. Three particular reasons there. Um, One, you might have kind of a nano payment use case for an agent, just a hidden endpoint, pay a millicent for it. Makes no sense that you can't swipe a card for a tenth of a penny. The card swipe itself costs many multiples of that. But you can stream a tenth of a penny through a stablecoin. That's one reason. Number two, you might have just like higher velocity. higher velocity, higher fidelity payments. And, you know, you may need an asset that you can split into a fraction of a cent and then send 1,000 times a second. And that's clearly a different payment type of use case. The third reason why AI, sort of stablecoins are well suited to AI agents is this notion of programmable money. We don't really have it yet. Crypto people have been talking about programmable money like flying cars, right, for 10, 15 years. What does that really mean? It basically means that you can encode in a transaction arbitrary conditions for how that transaction should proceed and should execute. Now in DeFi, we have that for like markets, but we don't necessarily have that in an individual transaction for sending a dollar or a tenth of a dollar. That's where this starts to get pretty interesting, because you have an AI agent that can reason rapidly through why might I need to send money. Clearly, trading is probably the first use case here, capturing alpha across different markets at high velocity, and might want to encode that in the actual send itself as it traverses different markets that it's acting across. That's when this use case starts to get really, really interesting. And so I think what a lot of people should be excited about is not just like the potential further product market fit for stablecoins with AI agents, because just the like sort of the small amount, high velocity nature of things there potentially, but it's also like what new use cases do stablecoins uniquely make possible for an agent, encoding logic in the way that money moves. That is super interesting to me. Now, we have not seen much of that yet, but I think there is going to be an CloudBot type of moment for agentic payments that we have not yet observed, that's going to lead a bunch of us to kind of be like, holy shit, where'd that come from? That's super interesting. Now everyone wants a piece of that. And I would expect that moment to happen safely within the next 12 months, probably within the next 6. A lot of experimentation so far, not like a huge spike in a way that takes people aback. But I think that's coming, and I think inevitably it's going to come with a combination of an agentic actor and a stablecoin.
Progression. Things are progressing really fast in this space, and 6 to 12 months, a lot can change in this world, and I think it will. Last question for you, my friend, before we wrap things up. I want you to think about 1 year from now. I want to think about, where do you envision your company to be? What is your North Star? What do you want to see accomplished with your platform?
I I think what we do very well is the programmatic money movement element. We call it just smarter money movement. Routing that adapts to market conditions in real time as it goes is very important for stablecoins. And I just think that our tech is singularly capable there. So if I project that forward, um, I want to build the smartest money movement network for these assets across these markets. I want Eco to be the layer that you want to route
Mhm.
through across blockchains, across digital asset markets, across stablecoin issuers, and to compose with even more traditional finance liquidity sources. You shouldn't want to route around Eco. You should want to go straight through it. And if we do that, then I think I have an opportunity 1, 3, 5 years down the road to build one of the most important money movement networks in the world, and certainly the most programmable one. And so that's what I want people to affiliate with Eco. We're the smartest money movement network emerging with this new technology. And I think that that can be powerfully true a year from now.
Well, I can't wait to see the progression of eco going forward, and I know my audience will be keeping an eye on it. My friend, thank you so much for coming on Late Night on Chain.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for adapting schedules on short notice. And thank you to the audience for tuning in. It's been a really good
Abs-
conversation.
Absolutely great conversation. We'll make sure our team has a few clips made as well by tomorrow. We'll tag you guys, share it to your community, our community as well. More people need to know about what you are doing. So thank you, sir, for coming on.
Sir, thanks, Bill.
All right, Rin from Eco. Great conversation. Stablecoins is on everyone's mind. Like I said, it's been on the topic of everyone's minds even since last year. Um, and it's showing no slowing down. I think every currency eventually will be brought on chain. I think it's inevitable. I think it's just the kind of progression. I mean, just smarter programmable money makes a lot of sense. I don't need to like wait 3 days for my money to come or come to a different country and exchange it. Nah, bruv, we don't need that. We need it right now, instantly. Boom, 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 boom. And actually, that's honestly the way it should be. So shout out to Rin. for joining Late Night on Chain. All right. Before we bring on our next guest, Buildefi, we have to play a word from our sponsor, and that is BV, our presenting sponsor, BV7X. Let's take a look at their little video. My friends, that's what you call a banger. A banger clip. If you are a presenting sponsor on my show, we show a bunch of love. And one of those things is you get a dope clip like a commercial. What other show is doing that? What other show? None. Late Night on Chain does it. So shout out to BV7X. All right. Let's see. 1,500 plus people tuning in. I like that. It seems like we're getting the numbers up there. The hoodie hits different. Yeah, hoodie fam. You're gonna enjoy Jake. Jake will be on in about a half hour from now, so we'll make sure we have him on. But the hood does stay on. But right now we're gonna bring up another, our newest supporting sponsor, and that is Buildefi. And we're bringing on the Buildefi team in 3, in 2, and 1. Boom and boom. We got Smooth and we got Dude. What is up, guys? How are we doing today? Oh, we got another one too.
Excellent. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on. There's 3 of you guys. Let's just see how we can do this because
if 3 is too many for your arrangement, I'm okay to drop.
3 is a little too many. Because
okay, I'll pop off. I'll stick around and chat.
Cool.
Okay.
See you guys. I'm already streaming to the other.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, 3 is a little too many, but we'll rock with 2. We got to ensure, everyone's beautiful face is just there. We can't mess around. We got to make sure we show you guys. Listen, guys, gentlemen, how are we doing today? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, excellent. Go ahead, Smooth.
Feeling great. Yeah, it's one of those things, seeing your channel and your videos and stuff, you put a lot of energy in to, talking about this. So I'm really excited to be on here and, shoot it up.
Absolutely. No, it makes it easier to chat with chads like yourself. I don't throw that term lightly. You have to really be a chad for me to call you a chad. But I love your guys' energy. But more importantly, I like the passion and dedication you have and what you're building. And that's why I was interested in working with you guys as a supporting sponsor. So why don't we just start with the basics? We have 1,700 plus people tuning in. Probably most don't know Buildefi. Why don't we just talk the first most important question? What exactly is Buildefi?
It's a token launchpad. And first and foremost, we've been in the space a long time. We've seen crypto over the years. We built something that we wanted to see and participate in ourselves. This is something that we believe in that no other launchpads out there are exploring. First off, we got rid of the bonding curve. We decided, the most fair way to launch a token is to really just have a fair mint, period. So when you launch a token, you as the builder can select that period you want, whether it's 30 minutes or 30 days. And during that time, anybody can get in there and get in at that ground level. So there's no fighting sniper bots. There's no trying to be the first one to buy at the second it launches. It gives you time to look at the tokenomics, dive into who the dev is, the memeability, it gives you time to look at it without having to just like ape into a token trying to be first. So that's a massive feature that I feel like we have that really changes the game there. And
why enter the Launchpad arena? Obviously, the features are different. We'll also talk about the liquidity bonding to a different token, which, as you guys heard, I was very bullish on. But why dedicate the resources and time and energy to create a Launchpad? What is it about Launchpads that are so important to you that you guys have dedicated your professional, life towards building the next best thing? Why?
I would say, again, because this is a void in the space. We're tired of seeing the same old things. And we think that once people realize what we offer, they're going to switch over to what we have. And this is what we feel like the next generation of Launchpads.
Smooth, let me ask you, what is it about the current iterations or in the past, in your opinion, was the biggest fault? Obviously, saying that this is the next generation is important, but from a trader's perspective, from a builder launching a project's perspective, what is the biggest issue that you see in the current systems?
So for the current systems, for Launchpads in particular, it really has to do with, getting in as early as you possibly can before the bonding curve, getting at a spot. But with our platform, having the ability to launch a token bonded to your favorite token, and this is like very exotic pairs and very different things than you're used to seeing. Most of the tokens being bonded with just ETH. So we can go 2, 3, 4, 5 layers deep in how these tokens interact with each other. But on our platform, you can buy and sell them with only ETH. So you don't have to know, you don't have to worry about the Uniswap, you don't have to figure out the pairs. You just like this token, you can sell and buy with only ETH. So I really love that feature, and that's kind of what we don't see in a lot of other Launchpads out there.
Yeah, I think that ability is kind of your unique differentiating point. I think at the end of the day, from my perspective, a Launchpad, people want to make money. Straight up. The builders want to make money. The traders want to make money. That's all they care about. They don't care about fancy graphics. They want quality launches that they can ape and have a chance without being botted, without being, dumped on. And I think with going one step further, by being able to bond with a different coin, you're now capturing the interest of that second market because it's in their advantage to see it grow. Now, dude, talk to us. Obviously, I know the answer, but 2,200 people might not. Why is that such a bullish feature to bond to a different token besides ETH?
It's a leverage play. So the top meme right now in Robinhood, we'll just say, is CashCat. If you launch a token and pair it with CashCat, you're now riding the wave of CashCat up and down. So if CashCat goes up in value, your token automatically does because it's paired with it. The paired token is going up. Now, obviously, if CashCat goes down, your token goes down with it as well. But it's basically a leverage play on your favorite token. And not only that, you can do multiple LPs. That's something else that you don't see anywhere else. Say you like CashCat and AMC. You can launch a token paired with both of those and do 50-50. So where you're basically now an index of those two tokens, and you're now leveraging both of your favorite memes at the same time with your own token.
I love it. All right, so let's take a look real quick. Buildefi, the most innovative launchpad you've never heard of. They haven't heard of it yet.
Yeah,
but they
Exactly.
will soon. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But constant visibility, constant pushing down. Plus, people wanna make that bag. All right, let's take a look at the site. Let's just talk about how it looks from a user's experience. All right, so we go to Buildefi, buildefi.win.
Yeah, just hop over to the Robinhood chain, or
Yeah.
I mean, we can showcase either either side. But
Yeah, let's go Robinhood. That's the name of the
Yeah.
game. So you go
Right.
Robinhood, and then you have the sleek, innovative design. You have a leaderboard. You have a whitelist, ending soon, top performers. You have things that are new.
Mhm.
Okay, so from a user's perspective, if I wanted to just launch something, I assume build your token,
Yep.
click it, and let me just make sure it's showing up. Okay, click it. A couple things as easy as possible: name, ticker, image, what's
And-
about.
And like that's it right there. Like if you want a simple meme coin, name, ticker, image, launch. Like if you're not trying to do all this fancy stuff, we offer that as well. Like everything we're talking about is just extra.
Got it. So LP setup. How do I? Okay, so from my perspective,
yep.
if I wanted to launch something backed by, let's say, Tendies or AMC, how do I do that?
Go to the LP setup, and then select your primary LP right there. It's ETH.
Cool.
Yeah. And the list is small right now. We're trying to slow roll out tokens to launch on. So if you're interested in being added to our platform, please reach out to us and we can work as a team to get people listed. But
yeah, super cool. So
and just as a side note, the users can't see the drop down menu on stream.
okay.
So we just kind of say them out loud.
Yeah. So for those that aren't aware, there's a little drop down menu, and you can choose right now: Cashcat, USDG, AMC. Let's go AMC, taking over the real movie theater, baby. Come on, smoke virtual. Okay, that's actually really cool. So I could just choose one of these. Now on the right hand side it says required participation 0.103. Now walk me through that. Is that to, I guess, in a way, prevent scammers from launching? Is it just required maintenance fee? What exactly is this 0.10 ETH?
That's referring to the amount of ETH that needs. That's not the builder's fee. So your fee, if you scroll down, will be a couple of bucks.
Okay.
That is to show there is a minimum amount of participation in minting your token that is required before the LP gets created. So if you get less than 0.1 ETH from all users during that mint phase, then the launch is voided. Everybody gets their ETH refunded to them, minus a 5% fee to the platform, the leaderboard. But as long as that 0.1 is there, your token launches straight on Uniswap.
Got it. And what is typically the amount in the liquidity pool once the 0.10 ETH has been reached?
You set that. So if you go to the mint tab, so and you scroll down, just there's the allocations. Yeah. So the ETH that goes in to mint your token, these are the allocations that are going to. So right now, what you have it set to is 97% of that ETH that comes in is going to the LP.
Got it.
And then there's a 3% going to the platform leaderboard that we can talk about later.
Sure. And then you can now adjust it for builders, additional support. I assume the builder is like the tax fee going to the builder, right?
Yeah, well, let's not call it a tax because this is
not a tax.
Yeah, just allocation from the mint.
Allocation. Yeah. Makes sense.
Right.
And when say mint, is that just the again? Sorry for the just need some clarification.
Mm-hmm.
When you say mint, is that just the period before it reaches the LP pool after the 0.10 ETH, or is it just like what you call the trading?
So just above that, you've got a fair launch duration set there for 8 hours. So you launch this, that timer is going to run for exactly 8 hours. If it doesn't reach 0.1, then it's going to void at 8 hours and everyone gets their money back. If it goes above 0.1, it will continue to run until that 8 hours is reached. And then once the timer hits 0, the LP gets created, the trading goes live immediately. But in that 8-hour window, you're minting tokens. Those tokens go to your wallet at mint. So so when trading goes live, you already have tokens in your wallet. And if snipers want to come in and buy up the chart out the gate, that's okay because you already have your tokens at mint price. And if it moons, you're already there. You don't have to try to buy in that first block on launch.
It makes sense too, because one of the biggest issues with projects when you launch, for those that might not be aware, snipers are a big thing. And so if you do a fair mint area period where you can only be buying it on Buildefi in this short period because there's no liquidity pool set up, you avoid all that. And I think that is extremely good for a project's long-lasting success, because if you allow snipers to come in and buy up the supply, well, guess what? They will dump. And
Every time.
Every time, like clockwork. All right. Show us some other features on the site. Let's check the leaderboard. All right. Because we've been talking about the leaderboard a lot. So what are we looking at here?
Every 2 weeks, this leaderboard pays out to the top trading tokens. So that we rank tokens by trading volume. And once the timer hits 0, the top 5 tokens are going to win ETH, and that ETH goes to buying and burning that token.
Very cool.
And it just constantly is on a loop. Every 2 weeks, that leaderboard will pay out.
Okay, cool. So I can see kind of what the top ones are right now. We have Smoke DeFi is the number 1. Number 2 is Burn Vern, and 3 is Tight. Very interesting stuff. What let me ask you this too now, because you guys are also, I think is an interesting concept. You guys are also not just designated for one chain. You're not just on Robinhood. You plan on being on many chains. You're already on Ethereum and in Base. Why the focus on multiple chains instead of one? Most people decide to do one chain. You have Pump Fund doing Solana. You have some other ones only focusing on Robinhood. You're focusing on them all. Why?
Well, I mean, let's say we're focusing on Ethereum and Robinhood out the gate. And I feel like once we get awareness and things start really picking up and people know the brand Buildefi, not everyone's on Robinhood. There's people that like Base, and there's a lot of people from Base that bridged over to Robinhood to join that hype, and get in on it. So we just want to, we think our platform is very feature rich, unique, that you don't see on any chain. And so that's kind of our thought, is why not give these people the ability to use our platform on their preferred chain.
Absolutely. Smooth. Talk to me about now, when you think about Launchpads and you think about getting the word out there, obviously it's one of the most lucrative sectors to be in. As a builder, how do you plan to cut the noise and offer something to crypto participants to encourage them to use your platform? Because at the end of the day, once again, they want to make money. They want to get seen. I have an idea, which I've shared with you. I think distribution and media is a very interesting thing. But from your perspective, what do you think it will take to capture market share in a market that everyone wants to be in, which is liquidity providing or Launchpads?
Well, I will agree with you. The distribution is massive, and we do plan on featuring these builders on our show and try to get that really going, just to give more spotlight to them. But also as a person using our platform, instead of yourself buying these tokens off the open market or before the hand and dump those, we're giving builders real allocation to support them, right? So you can do up to 8% of the mint phase can go to the builder. You can set transaction fees or tax to the builder if you want, and you could also do trading fees to the builder. So there's a ton of different ways that you can put on for an actual person coming in trying to make a ethical way of making money off of a crypto token, especially one they launch.
What is it about, and either one of you guys can answer, what is it about Robinhood in your guys' perspective versus ETH, for instance? Obviously, you've chosen ETH and Robinhood as the two that you're primarily focusing on. What is it about Robinhood that interests you? It's such a new chain. It's only been out maybe a month. What is your guys' internally general hypothesis and thesis going forward with Robinhood?
I mean, I'd have to say, simply put, it's just the most hyped, chain right now. So it just makes sense to come over there initially and, be a part of be a part of the hype. I feel like we've been in this bear market for so long. And even if we're still in a bear market, it's refreshing to see activity and things going on. And I feel like it's on Robinhood right now.
So you don't think it's a flash in the pan?
That's hard to say, but I will, like, my dream, the best case scenario is they are giving what we call normies an access to DeFi. That's the biggest barrier of entry right now. Is it's clunky. DeFi needs a lot more software to allow grandpa to get on and buy some tokens, and Robinhood is going to help bridge that gap, just like Base has been doing. They're getting people off their centralized exchange and into DeFi with, they have their Base wallet and all that stuff. I think Robinhood's going to do the same thing. People already have Robinhood accounts. If they easily onboard them into DeFi, that's going to allow a lot more money to flow into here that we don't see normally. And they're going to hit Robinhood chain first before they see Ethereum or Base or Binance or whatever.
You share that same thoughts, Smooth?
I would say so. I think, obviously with more infrastructure built on Robinhood, it becomes more sticky and keeps traction. So I think with more, real world applications, staking, lending, like there's a whole bunch of different avenues that Robinhood could take to really keep capital on their chain and keep it flowing.
Yeah, to me, Robinhood reminds me so much, and it goes to kind of your thesis, dude. I agree completely. I think Robinhood is not a flash in the pan. And for the biggest reason is the onboarding funnel for normal people, because we live in this crypto bubble. It's a very small bubble. I'm telling you right now, it's a very small bubble. The rest of the world, they don't live in this industry, but not yet. And in order to target them, you have to simplify the process, and you have to go to the bridge that allows these traditional people to come in. So for me, 2023, 2024, I thought it was Base. I have a lot of love for Base.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the same principle. Everyone knows Coinbase. They can now come on chain and have fun. That's still true. Absolutely. But I feel the interest of Base has changed more towards the corporate institutional type of people, and that's more of their priority. You have, the balance, whether they admit it or not, the balance between publicly traded company and the shareholder interest of the world versus those active trenchers. They can only do so much. Robinhood, though, in my opinion, can fit that need, even though they're publicly traded as well. I feel they are more aligned with the trenches. And so if they are able to create the conduit for normal people to come on, this is the world. You come onto the chain and they're going to need a launch pad to start launching things. And I think if you guys can absolutely capture a massive market share. By the way, shout out to the 3,300 people tuning in live late night on chain with Buildefi, the newest launch pad on Robinhood, and also Ethereum, coming soon to Base. Real quick, we got Better Call Jake the Weaponhead. I know you were launching something. Tell me, man, how is it going? Write it down. Did we shoot it to the moon? Talk to us.
He's got a contest. I think he's trying to promote it to $1. I think it's at like 20 cents now, and he's doing some kind of giveaway. So I think it's whoever makes that buy to push it over $1 wins something.
I like that. Tell me about currently, because I know you guys are super new. What has been, any standout projects, any 5Xs, any multiples that you've already seen? Just from, obviously it's going to take time to establish market share, but what have you seen so far from any of the launches?
Yeah, we just had Volcano Tech launch 2 days ago, and it went up 6x from launch price.
Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, Better Call Jake is right at a 6x as well, 5x.
And that's a couple of weeks later. So it's not like this is a 15-minute chart. Like these, they're holding. And they're also paired with these exotic tokens. They're pairing with their favorite tokens. They're not paired with ETH. So they're hoping to get that leverage play like we were talking about. Their favorite token goes up, and then there does a double pump, basically, is what you're looking for there.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Why ETH though? That's another question. Obviously, you guys are focusing. To me, ETH is I know it's OG, but I'm curious to know your perspective. Why?
That's pretty much it. I've been around since 2018, and ETH is OG to me. Like it is, Robinhood is built on Ethereum base. You know, like so it's just we couldn't leave out the OG. I mean, there's plenty of people, myself included, that have ETH on Ethereum. And I know gas fees aren't the greatest, but it actually has been pretty solid the last 6-9 months, I would say.
Yeah, one thing I will say as well, another huge feature that we're going to keep pushing out is Aave staking on our platform. So people can set a specific amount of mint towards an Aave stake, which will allow forever fees, no matter what happens, to your token, forever buying your token. So that was a massive part of the ETH side of things that we just, had to throw in there.
I like it. Question to you guys, very serious question, probably one of the most serious questions I've ever asked in my life. What is the mascot of Buildefi? Do you guys have a dog?
You know what, we haven't really given him a name. He's just Cube Guy right now.
Blockhead.
Blockhead. There you go.
I mean, hey, if there is a official mascot of I'm not saying anything, nothing I say is financial advice, none of that. But if there's official mascot of Buildefi, I want to know about it because official mascots do pretty well. Traditionally.
Yeah, we'll have to, we're watching the platform. We've seen a few tokens launch. Which one's gonna take the crown? We'll see. Yeah.
If somebody wants to launch a mascot of Buildefi, preferably a dog, maybe a cat, but I think cats don't perform as well as dogs. Let me know because I will ape. I support mascots. I love dogs too. So I think it's like a win-win.
Okay. Goes hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. All right, a few more minutes left with Buildefi, late night on chain. All right, so the life of an entrepreneur is not easy. And let's get a little more serious. The life of an entrepreneur is not easy. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. It's not always up. Most of the times it's down, actually. It's just, and then boom, you have to make it. I know as well as anyone else, success doesn't happen overnight, especially to new projects targeting a sector everyone wants. As entrepreneurs, what has been the hardest thing so far? Whether it's in building this Launchpad, is it just getting the word out there? Is it the technical advancements? Because you guys have been working on this for a long time. What has been some of the struggles you faced?
I would say, I mean, obviously development is the struggle really right now is awareness. You can have the most beautiful, awesome platform out there, and if no one knows about it, then it's useless. So that's the real struggle in this moment. Absolutely. And there's the bear market. Like no one's excited. No one's getting out of bed right now to go jump in on something. That's what I'm saying. It's been exciting to see all the volume on Robinhood. Like it's finally getting our blood going again.
It is. I think. Well, before I give my thoughts, Smooth, what has been so far the biggest obstacles as you personally as a builder?
I mean, we've been building Buildefi for a long time, and I think the rest of the team thought that was the hardest part, but dialing it in, getting actual attention outside of our immediate ecosystem is one thing that we've been working on. So that's been pretty tough, but we're very young. We're not even a week old yet, and we are seeing the traction starting to pick up a little bit. So it's the marketing is definitely happening, but we're adapting, and we're going to start doing more live streams, dial in tweets, really engage with different communities and whitelisting external tokens, just like AMC we did the other night. So we're going to constantly be adding more and more to these external tokens you can build on.
Well, I think the AMC thing was a good idea. I think you need to post about it. I think post about it, what you did. People like myself can amplify. I think the more in line with the messaging. I mean, we've talked yesterday, so you know where I stand on that. But one thing I do commend you guys is you guys have a curious mind and wanting to learn more, and you're not stubborn. I like that. You are willing to learn. You're willing to grow, and that's actually a sign of a very good builder or a team. Because there's a lot of people who are stubborn, like, I know this. I'm like, all right, fine, you know this, but you're going to fail. But you guys seem to have the perspective of like, this is how we learn, we grow, we learn from others. And I commend you on that. I also do think for any builders out there, it's about consistency. You know, you cannot expect on day one to create a project and just blow up. Very, very few, unless if, you know, if you see a lot of the projects that have done very well and you might think it's an overnight success, but either their brands have been established for a long time, they already have a massive community that are just going to blindly ape. 99% of them, they don't have that. But what gets you there is consistency. And it's not easy. It is absolutely not easy. Showing up a day in and day out to know that eventually, it's kind of like that. I don't know if you guys have seen that like image of like the guy shoving into the gold mine and you're just shoving away, shoveling away. And then boom, one day you hit the gold mine. And then there's also the other picture where it's shoveling, and then you quit and you just didn't realize it's literally right there.
Yeah.
So I think in your guys' case, it's just a matter of not when you guys succeed, and it will happen as long as you guys stay committed and dedicated and just pushing it through the low days to eventually get to the high days. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and there's no doubt that we are here for the long run. We've proven that to ourselves amongst the team. We are all here. We're gonna make this work. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And a few last minutes, I'm going to give a shout out to Misha GM. Misha, you should from BV7X, you should check out Buildefi. I don't know if you want to do something with them. Hey, you could be the agentic agent tooling feature. I don't know. There's a lot you could do, but shout out to Misha from BV7X. All right. Last question to you guys. As I talked to Rin from Eco, ask him the same question. 1 year from now, what would you realistically like to see Buildefi achieve? Any metrics, KPIs? What does success look like to you guys at that point?
1 million tokens, I would say.
Launched?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think a high amount of tokens launched as well. I would love to see not only communities build on their favorite tokens, but I would love to see tokens that graduate and are able to be built on as well. So I would love to see these tranches start happening, and you know, people actually using the gamification of the leaderboard and of the build on aspect of our platform.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And also, you know, for those tuning in, you guys are a supporting sponsor of the show. So guys, you guys are going to be knowing about Buildefi quite a bit because I want to see you guys grow. I only like to align myself with winners. As you guys know, I take my reputation very seriously, and you guys have the team that I believe in, and that matters because I do think you guys have something that a lot of people would really like to see. So my friends, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll make sure this is cut up and put on a Spotify as well because I want people to know about this from all ends of the world.
Yeah, thanks. Follow us on X and join our Telegram. It's very feature rich, and I'm sure you're going to have questions. We have answers.
I love it. All right, gentlemen, we will talk soon. Smooth, dude, thanks for coming on. We'll chat soon.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. That is the Buildefi team. Solid people all around. Again, one thing that I do pride myself in is putting teams together, talking to them that are here for the right reasons. You know, there's a lot of people out there who you can just tell are lazy. They're just trying to capture a hype cycle and leave and dump on you. And those are not people I like to align myself with. It just comes with the nature of the game. You do not want to mess with those kind of guys. We call them serial farmers. Oh, actually, another good thing, but these guys are not. And actually, I forgot to mention, those guys do not have a token either. So I think that's actually really unique and refreshing. Not having a token is actually, let me just ask Smooth this question. Smooth, you back there? Question for you before the fact that, and Jake, we'll get you on in a couple minutes. The fact that you guys don't have a token, I think, is very, very interesting and very bullish. Why did you guys decide not to implement a token into Buildefi?
For one, it's just cluttered noise. You know, people think you're shilling a token more than a Launchpad, more so. And I think we want to put the tech in front of people. But also, you know, that's a metric that kind of shows where the Launchpad is. You know, we want to be uncapped, and having a token price be the threshold for our Launchpad is very limiting. So I think us having more eyes on the Launchpad versus more eyes on the token is very beneficial, and we still play buying and selling in ETH. So kept it very simple, very powerful.
Well, I like that. I think that's a very bullish feature on your guys' end. So thanks for clarifying. All right, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Very cool. All right. So now let's turn our attention. Now we have Jake on. Jake is going to be a very interesting guest to me because he's an OG legend. He crushed it on base, and he still has an amazing project, but base has lost a lot of its volume for obviously reasons. And now he's building on Robinhood. So, I want to get his perspective. I want to talk all about Hoodie. So without further ado, the one, the only Jake, my friend, how are we doing today?
Bill, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Brother, it's been a while, man. I always like hearing that voice. It's very deep and smooth. No Diddy. It's just very deep and smooth.
Well, I've got the podcaster's microphone, so I don't know how much of it's my voice versus just having the quality tech.
By the way, how is the podcast going? I know you've been starting to you're reinvigorated with it, correct?
Yeah, I'm getting going slowly but surely. I've been doing it since 2020, and the last year I would say was like by far my first year of like really letting it slip, just focused on building, as you know. And so I probably did like 5 episodes in the whole year, from like summer 25 to right about now. And just realized, I love doing it probably for a lot of the same reasons that you do. And I want to make time for it again. And so, it doesn't take that much time, and I get to have awesome conversations with awesome people and, post them for anyone to listen. So
I look forward to seeing it back in full force. Obviously last year, we won't talk too much about QR because I want to focus more on Hoodie, but for those that might not know, we have 3,400 plus people tuning in. You created one of the highest revenue producing protocols on base, and probably every day I looked at the top forecaster leaderboard. It was either you or Toady at number 1 or 2. Quickly answer this, like, how did it feel, or how does it feel to know that you created a protocol that was so impactful to people?
Yeah. It feels fine. Like, I wish I could say it was like, amazing or something. I recognize it was one of the better, mini apps on Farcaster, but I wanted it to be a lot more than that. I still think, it's possible that, if a wave of momentum comes back to base and they're able to sort of capitalize on a lot of the potential people believe that base had in, 2023, 2024, beginning of 2025, I'll have not just QR, but a few projects over there that are alive and functioning that I could return attention to. And, they would be some of the few apps probably at that time that would have survived from like sort of before, the base app saga and all of that. So, I'm sort of keeping my chips on the board in a sense. But my TLDR from QR is like, it was a lot of fun, learned a lot, very thankful for all the people who bid on our daily auctions for attention and went and used the app to find, new and cool things on chain. But just sort of fell short of where I felt that it could go. And it's not totally out that could happen at some point in the future, but just didn't get to as far as I would have liked to in the near term.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also because, the attention on base is completely dwindled, for obvious reasons. People have tuned in. They saw Jesse the other day. They've seen Brian's tweets. So it's no surprise that metrics across the board for builders on base is gone down substantially. So now let's turn to Robinhood. Let's talk about Hoodie. Out of nowhere, I saw, actually so funny, like someone randomly was just like, oh my God, Jake just launched something. I was like, oh shit, I had no idea. And I was fascinated because you've done very well. Walk me through this. Why did you decide I'm going to launch something on Robinhood?
Yeah, I think, to answer that, I sort of need to describe my philosophy for like building and doing things from a higher level, which is that I'm not someone who spends a ton of time sort of planning, a 10-year roadmap, let alone like a 6-month or 1-year roadmap, and then goes and sort of like executes on that thing. Like, I like following my interests and just sort of doing things. And then once in a while, you sort of plant a seed or take an action that just sort of starts having momentum. And it's very hard. Like, it seems from the outside looking in that like, cause you're only going to see the seeds that I plant that like have some level of success, but I'm planting like 50 seeds. That doesn't mean I'm launching 50 tokens necessarily. Like, you have to be somewhat careful about that. But I'm trying things all the time, like launching new apps, like building things quickly, getting them out there into the public, even just tweeting ideas to see if they sort of get any traction, things like that. And once in a while, something works. And so this was one similarly to QR in a lot of ways where, I saw Deployer from Banker tweet that Robinhood chain launches were now available on Banker. Banker's been one of my favorite products in crypto for a while. Been like sort of a power user as of the last couple of weeks. I'm like #1 on the Banker leaderboard from what I've done with the token, and also like using Banker in the feed to pay rewards to token holders and all sorts of things. Like I've been using Banker pretty thoroughly for at least a year and a half, something like that. And so I saw this and I was like, I'd be lying if I told you like the exact sort of deliberate thoughts behind it. I think it was more so just like, look, it's been like, I feel like this bear market in crypto has been less about like, oh, crypto is dead, and more about like, oh, crypto is boring. Like we're just talking about tokenized stocks. We're talking about stable coins. Those things are all good. Like I don't want to like say boring as in like they shouldn't exist. Like they totally should. They make those things better. But like a lot of like the fun in crypto, like NFTs was clearly like, I actually wasn't super into NFTs during like that hype cycle, but like people were having a lot of fun. Like communities were arising on the internet and like joining together to like bid on the Constitution and stuff. You know what I mean? Like we were having some fun here and people were experimenting. Like I think Rhinotic is a good builder who's still like doing fun stuff and experimenting. There's a bunch of others. But the stuff that's like sort of getting valuation and traction to me for the last 6 months to a year plus has been like kind of the boring stuff. And so there's no longer as much of a concern that crypto is going to die, but I think there's sort of a consensus that crypto is just going to be pretty boring. It's going to be like, the next level of finance, and it'll increase access for people, and that's great. But like this edgy stuff, like trying to build like cities around communities, like aligned behind tokens, like that stuff's not going to happen. Like no way. That was all like bull cycle mania. And I don't really believe that. And so anyway, like, long story short, hadn't had like a lot of fun in crypto in a while. Saw this, new capability from Banker to launch tokens on Robinhood. Just sort of instantly came up. Like the hooded guy from the right side of the meme, the mid curve meme, like came to mind suddenly, and the name, the ticker and the name Hoodie. And so it was all very fast and like not super, deliberate. And I didn't think much or anything would come from it, honestly. And then I don't even remember like steps 1, 2, and 3. It just caught fire like instantly. And suddenly, like I did, change your PFP to the Hoodie guy, change your name. And suddenly like my notifications are flooded with all people with like the same profile picture. Yeah. And I'm just like, this is nuts. And so like the market cap's going up, the community's like viral, everyone's creating memes and videos and all this stuff. And I have like some sort of, I don't know if like muscle memory is the right word, but like I have some instincts around what to do when stuff like this happens from like, from QR and like sort of previous on-chain stuff, like trying to sort of like catalyze these moments. And then when they happen, sort of realizing how to like seize that momentum and try to expand it and extend it like to as much momentum, like as strong of momentum as possible for as long as possible. That's sort of like the name of the game in my view. And then once you lose it, how do you get that next sort of catalyst of momentum? So it all sort of just happened. And then for me, like having launched this without any plans of any kind, I was just like sort of filled with energy from the community on Twitter that I was like, all right, people love this thing. It's already sort of like reached a nice little market cap at the start. Like there's some potential here. Obviously Robinhood chain is like super high potential. Every chain needs like sort of its big meme coins. And I'm seeing like, I'm seeing cats, I'm seeing dogs, I'm seeing AI like infrastructure, but I'm not seeing like the canonical like meme of the Robinhood chain. And to me, like that's Hoodie. And obviously not everyone has to agree. Like currently the market, if you just look at the numbers, like the market doesn't currently agree. But as long as like the energy from the community is coming my way and people believe like, and I believe that this has a chance to be like the meme of the Robinhood chain, which I mean, I don't want to put numbers out there, but think of like the biggest meme coins of all time. Like Base has its major like meme coins, before that Ethereum and Solana, of course. Like people can debate meme coins all day and try to like intellectualize it or whatever, but like clearly people like meme coins, and certain meme coins get huge valuations. I think you could argue to some extent Bitcoin is a meme coin, or at least a large percentage of its valuation is sort of like memed into existence in a way.
Sure.
Ethereum, I think you cannot justify the valuation of Ethereum, in my view, based on like fundamentals alone. Like a large part of Ethereum's valuation, as well as Solana and all of these others, is from sort of like a meme premium, is how I think of it, or an attention premium. And so I think like meme coins are not a joke. Like I think they are serious, and sometimes they sort of look like a joke from the outside, but they're really interesting. And so like, you know, building a community internet first, and like what can you do with that? We've got like a map now showing like hoodies all around the world. So it's been fun. It's been interesting. I'm energized by the community, and I don't know where it's all going to go, but I think we've got like a great meme launched at the perfect time with some early steam and momentum, and we're going to see what we can do with it.
Well said. I think there's a lot to be said about much of the things you just elaborate on, starting with the people are yearning for fun. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think it's been a while since people have had fun on chain. A lot of things personally, Robinhood reminds me of is DeFi Summer 2020. That was a
Yeah.
fun time where it was just like people were farming food coins, people were experimenting, collecting things. It was just like crazy fun. And I think, you know, we've geared more towards institutional interests as of late. And that's great for the future growth of this industry, but not as that much fun for, you know, the trenchers per se. And I think Robinhood fills that void. Let me ask you, Jake, what is the biggest difference that you see right now from between Robinhood and Base? Do you think it's just the institutional alignment that Base has shown, which has taken away the fun, versus Robinhood maybe having more open arms to embrace meme culture? Or, you know, in this current format, Robinhood versus Base, what are the key differences you see?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're shockingly similar in a lot of ways, not right now in their current state, but in terms of the opportunity for each. So in each case, you're looking at a leading sort of like new finance company, right? Coinbase and Robinhood. Interestingly, they're coming at it from different angles. Robinhood being stock trading, Robinhood sort of you know, had their success on the back of capitalizing on the mobile you know, like the era, the shift to mobile. They made like a mobile first finance app that was like a very out of the money bet when they started doing it, and now everyone's doing their finances on their phone. Coinbase capitalized on something different. They capitalized on the emergence of crypto, right? So they're coming crypto first. Robinhood's coming stock first, having capitalized on the mobile movement, and they're both skating towards the same, you know, the same puck on the same ice, right? They both want to dominate, like sort of be the new home for, you know, millennial, Gen Z, and so on. People who are doing, you know, their finance, who are managing their finances, whether it's crypto, stocks, prediction markets, you know, stable coins, earning interest, whatever it might be. So they're going for the same thing. They're coming from like similar levels of success, granted, like achieved in different ways. And they both have chains now. They both have, you know, self-custody wallets, in previously Coinbase wallet, and now the Base app, and then Robinhood wallet. And now they both have chains. And in both of these cases, Coinbase and Base has been a little bit ahead of Robinhood in the sense that, you know, the wallet came out first, Base, the chain came out first. But, you know, first doesn't necessarily win. And so they both sort of have this opportunity to like take this huge foothold that they've earned with their primary company, Coinbase or Robinhood, and take those users and convert them to like sort of a whole suite of other products. And in Coinbase's case, that's to like more TradFi stuff from crypto. And in Robinhood's case, that's to crypto from TradFi stuff. So I think the opportunity for both of them is huge. It's the same reasons I was super bullish on Base and have been building on there for a couple of years. The difference between them today is that Robinhood and Robinhood Chain, like Robinhood's efforts in crypto at large, they're operating from basically a blank slate. Like they haven't done anything wrong, and thus far, you know, it feels good. Like there's been a lot of positivity. Inevitably, they will get criticism and all of that, but like so far, so good. And I think with Base, that was largely the case for the first like 2 years or so. It was a chain to me that was focused on builders. Prioritizing builders, elevating builders. It was fun. Like people were building stuff. It wasn't about, you know, the boring stuff at that time. And I understand some of the shift to the boring stuff. I think you have to have both. Robinhood will certainly have both. But that's the major difference, is that they're both sort of coming from a similar position, very strong position to sort of dominate crypto and like new finance at large. But Robinhood has a fresh slate and Base doesn't. And sometimes you can be sort of like, you know, too early, too late. And so we'll see what the timing looks like sort of in the overall spectrum of things. But it could be that, you know, Base was like a little too early in some ways and sort of spent a lot of their bullets, and then Robinhood comes like at the right time with the right learnings, maybe from observing some of what Base has done, and is able to capitalize on the opportunity. So, you know, overall, I would like, if you take Robinhood and Coinbase together, or Base and Robinhood chain together, I would be super bullish on the combination of them in the years to come. Like, someone is going to make a killing in this space and like genuinely succeed in like sort of making finance more accessible for people around the world and bringing some of these more interesting crypto use cases to bear. And so, you know, I don't know who exactly it's going to be. So I sort of, you know, I've spent a lot of time building on Base though already. So like I could go and build another app on Base, but it's like, man, I feel like these are some serious headwinds that I've been facing in doing that. And a new chain is now here. I sort of got lucky that a seed that I planted emerged into something. I'm going to spend some time there. It's like, you can, you know, if you're working like a 9 to 5, you can only like work for one company, right? Or if you're living in a certain country, like you can only really like live in one country, but you can invest in all kinds of assets. And similarly, you can build on all kinds of platforms. And so I'm building sort of like a portfolio of a builder where I have products on Base. I'm now going to have things on Robinhood. I'm not opposed to doing something on Solana. Like, I'm not a maximalist. Like, I want crypto to win, and I want to build, and I want people to use my apps and my products and like join my communities. So wherever, you know, the momentum is, wherever I think there's a nice risk reward, like I'll be there. I'll be building. I might be building all sorts of different stuff, but that's sort of the opportunity to me.
Makes sense too, if you think about it. It's actually lost my voice somehow. It's actually a good maneuver too by you from experimenting on different chains, because it eventually funnels everyone back to all the products that you build. So for instance, if you are in the QR land, you support Base, you probably should be supporting your project on Robinhood, because now you, Jake, are now attracting a lot more visibility from people who never may have heard of you. And then they'll learn about your other projects, which funnels it back to QR and all the things. So it all works together. And I think you can't be a maximalist. Like, you know, I started the show Late Night on Base, and I've rebranded to Late Night on Chain. I'm not a maximalist on Base, but it's good for me. Obviously, the more people across other chains who know about me, it actually funnels back to, you know, Base as well, because then my brand and popularity rises, and it helps, you know, the Base ecosystem when I do have those guys on. So it all works together. And yeah, I think you made a good point. It's super early days on Robinhood. They haven't really faced any criticism. It reminds me very similar to 2024 Base, 100%. 2025, they got a lot of criticism with like the creator coins and all that. But 2024 was just like, this chain is amazing, rose-colored glasses. I think obviously we're seeing that right now. Time is too early to see. Last questions to you, Jake, before we wrap it up. With Hoodie itself, talk to me about the community. How do you feel? What do you think is the best? You said you get lucky, but obviously the luck is only one factor. You've kept this community engaged, lively, regardless of price. What do you think is the defining element of creating such a community that is just so strongly in belief of what Hoodie represents? How do you think you've done it?
Yeah, I think there's at least a few factors. You know, one is the timing. I launched Hoodie on July 8th, so exactly 2 weeks ago. And that was sort of like day 1.5, day 2, day 1, like something like that, of like Cash Cat going nuts. I think it ultimately like got to further all-time highs in a couple of days to follow, but that was the first day. It was like really all over my feed. And so putting a meme coin out into the world on that day was sort of like a peak exposure day. So got to get like sort of a lot of eyeballs, at least on, you know, considering that this was out there, and like, oh, here's a set of memes that launched on this day. Let's pick our favorites. And like Hoodie was among the ones that sort of got that attention. So nice launch, helped by the timing. And, you know, it's good to be one of the first things out there. Like, we're part of the OG class. So if we survive, I think it'll be sort of acknowledged as such. The second thing is just like sort of the meme itself. All my sort of like non-crypto friends are still well familiar with like the mid-curve meme and the unremixed version of this character. And I think it's cool. Like he's kind of got like a chill vibe to him. Like I'm looking at my avatar in the video right now. He's just like he's low key, like he's from the right side of the curve. So he's kind of like really smart. It's kind of funny since I put him as like my PFP, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of like feeling kind of smart now. Like your PFP can like kind of change your vibe in a way.
Yeah.
And I've been rocking the blue dot for so long, but I'm like, feel a little bit smarter today. So I think people like enjoy wearing it, and he's just so familiar. He's from like sort of the Wojak universe.
Yeah.
So like everyone knows it, crypto or not. Not everyone, but a lot of people. Like it's got more it's a broader meme than a lot of like these very niche memes that you see in crypto. And then thirdly, I think, having started the thing, there's a bunch of things like launching on Banker. I think, there's a lot of like Banker stands out there who dig it for that reason. But I think people see, people know me from QR, like existing, people who knew me before this, like having known me from QR, and now people who are sort of engaging with me for the first time, having discovered me through Hoodie. I go pretty hard like in public. Like I don't really hesitate to share, and I'll write what I think and be authentic. And I think like I'm pretty reasonable. So like you won't see me doing like, hating on base very much. Like I'll be writing some of like the stuff that we talked about earlier about how like, I'll build on base, I'll build on Robinhood. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll be where the action is building, and I want crypto to win. So like those takes can be kind of refreshing. I think people just see, like someone told me, he's like, man, I've got my notifications on for you, and I can't figure out when you're sleeping because like you're tweeting at like, all the normal hours, and then like up and through like 2 a.m. and then at like 4:30 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, man, I haven't been sleeping too much. So, I think people like sort of respect that hustle as well. And obviously I'm not going to be able to like take, like no individual takes a meme coin to Valhalla, so to speak, but you do have to get it off the ground and sort of like initiate the community, put a couple building blocks in place, and sort of get things going. So I think some people have liked what they've seen from me in that regard. But at the end of the day, the true test will be sort of standing the test of time. So we'll see where things are in a couple weeks, couple months. And if this thing survives a couple years, then it's probably one of the big meme coins on Robinhood. And we've done a nice job.
Amazing, Jake. As always, I feel that people respect you. I respect you. I think that goes a long way. People probably feel, and rightfully so, a little bit more comfortable knowing that a builder of your stature is helping push a project like this. They can sleep at night knowing that's not going to rug, and they're going to get your best effort. So I look forward to seeing Hoodie survive and thrive. And as always, my friend, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Bill. Pleasure as always.
Pleasure's all work. By the way, we're going to have a few clips made from the show. We'll tag you, and also this will be on Spotify. So we want more people to learn all about you, my friend, and what you're cooking.
Awesome. Hood stays on.
The hood stays on. I love that. All right. That is Jake. Massive fan. Great guy. Highly recommend checking out Hoodie. Highly recommend checking out QR. That thing was a juggernaut, and still is. Just needs some more time for base to come on. All right, guys. 3,400 plus people tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. That show is done. We ran over time. Whatever. We're back at it tomorrow. One more show for the week. Next week, I'm off. Need a much vacation for my family, and then we're back on in August. So tune in tomorrow. Until next time, peace.